The committee will come to order for the purposes of receiving testimony on legislation that has been introduced dealing with serious flaws in our nation's mine safety laws. That would be H.R. 5663. These flaws became devastatingly obvious on April 5th when a massive explosion ripped through the Upper Big Branch mine in West Virginia, killing 29 miners. It is simply unacceptable for mine workers to die or be injured in preventable accidents. And it is unacceptable for some mine companies to game the mine laws to avoid protecting their employees. And it is unacceptable that mine workers across the nation live in fear of their jobs if they raise safety issues at work. And it is unacceptable that mine workers are not given the most updated safety technology and training to protect their health and safety. While it will take months to determine the precise cause of the Upper Big Branch explosion, we already understand the disastrous results when mine owners operate on the margins of safety in order to put more coal on the belt. Further study and investigation isn't needed to understand the results when workers' voices are silenced by fear of retaliation for speaking out on safety problems. And we know the consequences of safety when a mine operator repeatedly disregards safety to do everything to avoid tougher oversight. The consequences are that miners die. These messages were clear when we traveled to Beckley, West Virginia, to hear from miners and family members who lost loved ones on April 5th. The testimony was chilling. What we heard was how an outlaw mine company that valued production over the lives of human beings. We heard how miners would get sick because there wasn't enough oxygen. We heard how widespread fear and intimidation had paralyzed miners from demanding management fix serious problems. And we learned how a federal agency lacked the resources and the legal authority to fix those chronic problems. In 2009, Massey's Upper Big Branch mine was cited 515 times for serious violations, including 54 orders to evacuate the mine due to urgent safety concerns. While the mine corrected unsafe conditions when it was confronted by MSHA inspectors, it repeatedly slipped back to a pattern of noncompliance. In the weeks before the explosion, MSHA closed the mine 7 times, 6 times for failures related to improper mine ventilation. Despite this pattern of serious violation, there was little MSHA could do to get Massey to turn this operation around. The millions of dollars in proposed fines over the years didn't work. Dozens of temporary closure orders didn't work. And it seems complaints that miners not even getting enough air below didn't work. The Upper Big Branch mine is a perfect example of how current law is inadequate, especially for those operations that do everything to flaunt the law. H.R. 5663, the Miner Safety and Health Act, will fix these problems that have allowed some mine owners to operate on the margins of safety without being held accountable. Among other provisions, the legislation will revamp the broken pattern of violation sanctions so that our nation's most dangerous mine operators improve safety quickly. Furthermore, responding to serious concerns raised in Beckley, the Miner Safety and Health Act will empower workers to speak up about safety concerns, strengthening the whistleblower protections. The bill will eliminate incentives for owners to appeal violations regardless of the merits and ensure that overdue penalties are paid promptly. The bill will give MSHA additional powers to shut down the mine when there is a continuing threat to the health and safety of miners. Also recognizing that some mine operations bide their time to retaliate against whistleblowers, the bill will ensure that the underground coal miners are dismissed if the employer only if the employer has just cause. Finally, the bill will guarantee that basic protections are available in all workplaces. Workers should have basic workplace protections, no matter if they work in a mine, extracting coal, or in an oil refinery, handling explosive chemicals. In 24 hearings over the last 3.5 years, this committee has not only examined gaps in mine safety, but also the significant shortcomings of the Occupational Safety and Health Act. I want to thank Congressman Woolsey for leading the effort to reform the Occupational Safety and Health Act. Your legislative work on the Workforce Protection Subcommittee has made clear case for strong action. That is why, under the legislation, all workers will have a strong whistleblower protections, not just miners. For the second time in 4 decades, criminal and civil penalties will be increased, and those penalties will be indexed for inflation. Lastly, employers will have to fix safety problems more quickly, even pending appeal. Unlike mine safety laws, other workplaces are allowed to put off fixing many hazards found while the violation is appealed. And I would like to thank all the members of the House, Senate, and the administration who have worked for weeks putting the legislation together. In particular, I want to recognize the leadership of United States Senator Robert C. Byrd, who was one of the coal miners' best allies in Washington. Senator Byrd was personally involved in making these decisions on this bill up to the last weeks of his life. Recognizing the importance of Senator Byrd's legacy to our nation's miners and workers, my manager's amendment will change the name of the legislation to the Robert C. Byrd Miner Safety and Health Act of 2010. After the 2006 Sago and Aracoma tragedies, Senator Byrd said, and I quote, "If we are truly a moral nation, then those moral values must be reflected in government agencies that are charged with protecting the lives of our citizens." And I agree. Finally, this bill responds to the promise I made to families paying the ultimate price for a job our nation depends on. The promise was to do everything in my power to prevent similar tragedies. I believe that this bill is our best chance to fulfill the promise made to the families of Aracoma, Sago, Darby, Crandall Canyon, and now Upper Big Branch.